Hello everyone, today let's solve the problem number 1789, primary department for each employee, right? So what the question states here, we are given a table employee. So here you can clearly see, we are given a table employee here, where each employee can belong to multiple departments. So each employee can belong to multiple departments. Here you can clearly see two employee with the id 2 belongs to department id 1 2 1 and 2, right? So here in this case they have given each employee can belong to multiple departments. An employee has a primary flag column which indicates their primary department with y or n, right? So here they have clearly mentioned primary flag with the this one type varchar, right? An employee has a primary flag which indicates their primary department with y or n. If an employee belongs to only one department, the primary flag will be n. So in this case here you can clearly see, if an employee belongs to only one department, then the primary flag will be n. See here in this case, one only belongs to the department id 1, right? So the same thing goes with here. So 2 belongs to 1 and 2, but this 2 second 2 belongs to only 2 here. In this case it will be n, right? Same goes with 3 as well. 3 belongs to only department id 3 n. 4 belongs to only 2 in this case, department id only 2, this is n, right? So this is considered as n in this case. So I hope this is clear. So what is our main goal then here? We have to write the SQL query to report the primary department for each employee. So we have to write the SQL query to report the primary department for each employee. So what are the conditions here? If an employee belongs to multiple departments, we have to return the department where primary flag equals y. So here you can clearly see, we have to if an employee belongs to multiple departments, we have to return the departments where primary flag is y. And then the next condition here is, if an employee belongs to only one department, return the department if the primary flag equals n, right? Primary flag equals n, only one department. If the employee belongs to only one department, then we have to return that department even if the primary flag equals n, right? I hope this is completely clear. So how we got this output basically? So in this case we have to consider all the employees, right? So here the different employee IDs are 1 2 3 and 4, right? So we have got the different IDs here, 1 2 and 1 2 3 and 4. We may have duplicates. So for 2 we have duplicates, for 4 we have duplicates. They have clearly mentioned in the question that we will be having the duplicates, or we may have duplicates, but these are the 4 different employee IDs we have, right? Or 4 different employees we have in this case. So first we'll go with the employee ID 1 2 3 4. First we need to find the different employees or different employee IDs and return it. Here we have 1 2 3 4. For 1, what we will do, we have only one department. So here you can clearly see, for 1 we have only one department, that is 1, right? That is n in this case. So there is only one department, we will return this one directly, 1. So this one I'm speaking of, this one we will return, this is fine. So for 2 we have the primary department that is flagged as y. So this is the primary department which is flagged as y here in this case. So we will return the first one. So primary department we have to return, right? In this case for 2 we have 1 and 2. So the primary department here is 1 with the primary flag y. So we will be considering this one, we will not consider this one in this case, right? So we will return in this case 1, right? So I hope this is clear. Next let's come to 3. For the 3 we have only one department, you can clearly see here with 3, with the department id 3 which is flagged as n here in this case, right? So we will directly return 3 in this case, right? This is, I hope this is clear. For 4 the primary department is flagged as y here, this one we will consider, right? Primary department is flagged as y, other 2 are considered n here, you can clearly see, only this is considered y here in this case. So we will return 3 in this case and we will ignore this 2 and 4. So in this case we will return 3, right? Primary, again here for 4 the primary department is flagged as y here, this one 3 we will return. So that is how we got the output 1 1 3 and 3 for the employee id 1 2 3 4. I hope this is completely clear, right? So they have clearly mentioned in the explanation as well. So here the primary department for the employee 1 is 1, employee 2 is 1, employee 3 is 3, and employee 4 is 3 as well. So other things will be, other department IDs we will be ignoring, right? So that's what we will be doing in this case. So I hope the question is completely clear. What we need to do is completely clear as well, right? So first, as usual, we will discuss the approach, then we will write the query. First, let's discuss the approach. So let's discuss the approach step by step here. The first step is we will create a common table expression, nothing but CTE. So we will, we usually, sorry, just give me a second here. We usually call the common table expression as CTE, right? We will create a common table expression CTE here. Why? Because we have to store the rows where primary flag is y. We have to store the rows where primary flag is y, right? This will help in returning finally in the output, which contains primary flag y, right? So if it contains the duplicate flags and if it is n, we will be ignoring that one later, right? So that is the reason we'll be creating the common table expression or the CTE to store the rows where primary flag is y. I hope this is clear. So next, let's come to the second step here in this case. So we will be making use of the left join. You would have already guessed this one, right? We'll be making use of the left join. Why? Because we need to find the employees who do not have the row marked as y. That is the reason we'll be making use of the left join. You would have already guessed this one. This is simple, right? This is simple and easy to understand. So the third, the third step here is if an employee doesn't have the primary department. So here on this case, if the employee doesn't have the primary department, we will return the minimum department ID. So in the example one, the first one, the employee with the ID 1, if you remember, he didn't have the primary department, right? So he had only one employee ID with one department ID was 1, and that was flagged as n basically. So this was minimum and we considered this one itself directly for the example 1, if you remember, right? So that is what here, if an employee doesn't have any primary department, we will return the minimum department ID, or we have to return the minimum department ID. I hope this is completely clear, right? So next, let's come to the fourth step. We will be making use of the union here. We will be making use of the union keyword. Why we will be making use of the union keyword here? To combine both the cases. We need to combine the both cases. So we will be making use of the keyword union here. I hope this is clear, right? So we need to combine this one, employee ID as well as the department ID, right? So that is the reason we'll be making use of the union keyword. So finally, we will group by employee ID. So why we will group by employee ID? So because here in this case, we need only one employee ID, right? If we have to ignore the duplicates, so we will be grouping by employee ID, and we will select the smallest department ID. So we have already discussed this one in the third step. If an employee does not have primary department, then we will return the minimum department ID, right? So in this case, we will group by employee ID and select the smallest department ID using min. So we will be making use of the min keyword that is provided by SQL, right? That is provided by SQL for single department employees. For the single department employees, we had only one which was flagged as n. We didn't have y at all, which was not flagged y at all. So we were considering minimum, that is 1. We had only one department ID that was that the employee 1 had, or the which employee 1 had basically. The employee 1 was grouped to department ID 1, which was flagged then. We will consider this one itself, right? So that's what this statement says. We will group by employee ID and select the smallest department ID using min keyword. So we'll be making use of the min keyword for single department employees. For the single department employees, that's what we will be doing here in this case. These are the 5 steps we need to consider, or this is the approach that we will be going with. I hope the approach is completely clear in this case, right? So as the approach is clear. So I hope the approach is clear. So now we know the approach, it will be easier to understand. I mean, it will be easier to write the query. Now let's start writing the query. So here, in the first step, what we were doing, we have to select only rows where primary flag is y, right? So we will be making use of CTE as we had already discussed. So here in this case, I'll just give with CTE common table expression, right? As we have to select only rows where primary flag is y in this case. So I'll just go with the select employee underscore ID, and this one I'll just give here department underscore ID. So this one from employee, this is coming from the employee table. I should have copied this one. This is fine. So only we have to consider only rows, or we have to select only rows where primary flag is y. So I'll just consider the where keyword here. So where primary flag, this one, let me copy this one, where primary flag equals, so within the single inverted comma, I'll just give y here. This is fine. So the next step here is we have to select the employee ID. So we'll be going with the if null keyword, right? So minimum we need to select, if you remember the approach. So let me write this one, you'll get to know. So I'll just give here select. So let me select the employee ID here, this one, employee ID, and let me go with if null of min. If the employee ID, or if the employee has only one department ID and we do not have duplicate for the employee ID, then we will go with the minimum value of the department ID, right? So for that one, we are making use of the min keyword here, min of department ID, this one. So let me copy this one quickly. Let me paste it over here, min of department ID. This one is fine. This one is department again. So let me copy, let me paste the same thing here. This one, department ID, as this one is also department ID itself. Let me paste this one. So this is coming from where it is coming from basically. So I'll just make use of from here on this case. So within from, so we have to select the employee who do not have the primary flag y as well. So this one, first, in the first step, till now what we did, we selected only rows where primary flag is y. We have to select the employees who do not have primary flag equals y as well. For that one, we need to write the query, or we have already seen that one in the approach. We need to articulate or implement that one in the form of query. I'll just give here select e dot employee underscore id comma e dot, here in this case, department underscore id. This is fine. So this is coming from employee table, this one, right? So let me copy and paste it over here, employee e. This is fine. And as we discussed in the approach, we'll be making use of the left join, right? So I'll just go with here left join common table expression CTE C on. So let's go with here. Let me copy the employee ID here. So this one self joined, right? E dot employee ID. Sorry. Oh, this is lagging too much. So this is fine. C dot employee ID. I'll just make use of where keyword here. Where C dot employee ID. So let me paste this one. Employee ID is null, right? We'll be making use of the is null that is provided by SQL. So we are selecting the employees who do not have the primary flag equals y, right? Primary flag equals y. This is fine. So again, as I've said earlier, we'll be making use of the union keyword as well, right? So we have already discussed this one in the approach. Why? Because we need to include the employees who do not have the primary flag y as well. So this one, let me give here select star from CT common table expression. This is fine. So this is nothing but T. So final step here is what we need to do. We have to group by employee ID to handle the multiple department cases if we have the multiple department, right? So for that one also we need to write the query, or we need to make use of the group by, or we will be making use of the group by here in this case. I'll just keep here group by employee underscore ID. This is fine. So let me hit the run button here. So why this is not showing? Just give me a second. Yeah, you can clearly see here the sample test case is getting passed. Means the query works absolutely correct in this case. Let's see whether it works for all the test cases or not. Let me hit the submit button. I hope this works for all the test cases. Let's see. Yeah, you can clearly see here all the test cases are getting passed. Means the code or the query works absolutely correct in this case, right? So I hope whatever query that we have written here, this is completely clear, right? For now, this is it. Thanks for watching, guys.